guys, my name is Avery with University Pulse, and today we are interviewing the band Los Syringas.
My name's Josue. I play rhythm guitar and I sing.
My name is Luke, and I play drums.
My name's Josh, and I play keys and synths.
Sean primarily play bass, do a little bit of singing here and there, and get around.
And my name's Pearson. I play lead guitar.
Sweet. So to start off with the first question, what is your band origin story? How did you come up with the name? How did you guys get together?
So a few of us used to live together. So I used to live with Pearson and Josh. And then for a brief moment we jammed. And then I moved out. And then Luke came in. And then he from Wisconsin. And he was like, hey, let's jam. So we jammed together once. And then they started jamming a lot more. And there was some movement within the band, and then eventually they were trying to come up with names. I don't even want to talk about the names that we used to have.
No.
There was and then I think the last one before Los Syringas. Yeah, what was it?
Dalai Lama and the Alpacas.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And we were instrumental at the beginning, so it was for a while. It was just me, Josh, and Pearson, and then we did have another member for a little bit, and he was bassist and sang, but then he left. He went to Seattle, and then we found out that Josue has an amazing, beautiful voice, and so then he became a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that's when we called it Los Syringas.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you and was it you who came up with it?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, we tested some names out, and that one was better than Dalai Lama and the Alpacas.
And then Sean joined then later.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, when did you join?
You guys were in for I think it was about a year or so before I joined, because Seth went off, got married, and you guys needed a bassist to fill in, and then all of a sudden you kind of liked me, and
We did.
here I am. I'm still here.
All right. So, what would you say your music creative process is like when you guys get together and start making stuff?
I don't think we have an exact science to it. I feel like every song has evolved differently, and I've been here not for every song creation, but sometimes just Pearson will be noodling around in off hours, and he'll bring some licks, and then we kind of play around with those, and we like them, we don't, we move on, we
just experiment.
come back. It's really experimental.
That's fun.
I know Luke and Sway do most of the lyrics, kind of figuring that stuff out. We help in every once in a while.
Yeah, I will say that it's kind of like a very flowy method, but I've noticed that there's a consistent way that we make it. So it's either a riff or chords that we come up with first. And then after that, we just jam with that for a while. And then we slip in melodies, either Josh with keys or solos with Pearson, and then I'll just start humming melodies. And then it's pretty consistent that the last thing we do are lyrics. So we don't know what this song's going to be about.
It's so true.
And we already have this whole song, and we're like, what does this sound like to you? What does this feel like to you? And then that's when we come up with lyrics. So it's not the same every time, but that's usually the flow. It's music, and then that's usually how we do it.
So that's what's kind of funny too, Avery, is we've played in different environments. So for a while we would play in the morning at Pearson and Josh's place in their garage. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah.
And then we'd play at my house. And then that was for a while. And that was with Sean. And now we actually play at Pearson and Josh's new place, and we play indoors, and we always play at night.
And so it's pretty much the whole front room has just become our studio, where we just have our equipment set up and we just walk in and jam. It's very nice to have.
So if you were to describe your music with a bunch of artists, which artist would you describe it as?
I think each band member is gonna have a different answer to this. So
you can see what Treeford says.
I'll start with Pearson. See what he thinks.
Started out, I think surf was a good start, right? Very surfy, dreamy a little bit, a little psychedelic, alternative. I would say we are pretty all over the place. We like to combine anything that sounds cool and put it all together. But maybe the closest would be Boy Pablo.
I'll probably say Boy Pablo as well. I'm not very educated on different artists. We're quite the amalgamation of sounds and,
Yeah.
and
That's
vibes.
good.
Yeah. I would say a couple. They're kind of more low-key artists, but Divino Nino is one. And then Los Retros. That's probably where you got the Los idea from, huh?
That's one of the bands that has.
Mm.
Yeah, Syringas is actually Retro's backwards.
Yeah. Actually, fun fact, I don't know if we mentioned it, Syringa is the state flower. So
Idaho
it's
state
gotta
flower.
have it.
Idaho State Flower?
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
that's right.
So,
It's funny too because we were more alternative, and then when Sway became a big part of the band, we're very glad you did. He brought this. I call it the Sway vibe. He brought like a swayness to the band.
Okay.
Like it was like this. It was like a wave that kind of just came over on top of the band, and it was a bunch of like the seventh chords
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the surfy, cool vibe actually that we didn't really have before.
that is sick.
So, and actually, Sway got me into Beach Bunny. So I always think about Beach Bunny. Somersault, that is another band actually that I think that we do sound like, and even Sway sounds a little bit like them too.
I think our sound comes from like just the taste of each of us, I guess, that we like. We all bring in our flavor, I guess. I mean, I don't think you could find 5 guys that have such different tastes in music. I think. So like putting us together, it definitely makes. I think it makes music that we enjoy, but honestly, we don't listen to right off the bat. Like,
That makes sense.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think the combination is like surf, Latin, alternative rock.
Even a little jazz.
Yeah, a little
Yeah,
jazz.
little bit,
So
yeah.
the bands that I think, they said Boy Pablo, Divino Nino. I really like Crumb. I think a lot of
Crumb,
we
yes.
and then the Marias. I think we get a lot of inspiration from them.
When you make your band, do you have like a particular goal that you want to reach? Like, do you want to be able to play somewhere like across the country? Do you have any like aspirations, or are you guys kind of just riding it out?
Yeah. So we call them interventions.
Yeah, crossroads.
So like when we first started playing, like we jammed, and then we got to the point where we're like, we need to define what we want,
Mhm.
so that we can have a common goal, and so that we don't like get pulled in different directions. Just so there's clarity between us. I think the first meeting, we talked about like what kind of music we don't want to do, like what we don't want to do lyrically, like who do we want to include in our music. Which, I mean, it was just for everyone, for all ages, is what we came up with. And then also our goals in the beginning were, we want to release music and then maybe do a tour one day. And then the end goal was like Tree Fort. And I think within a year and a half or 2 years, we hit that. So like
Right on.
we're almost like coming up on our next band intervention to see what we need to do next, because we've kind of achieved everything that we wanted to in our first meeting about that.
And I can add even a little bit to that. I think, so you said it, like being able to write music that, anyone can listen to, that has just a good, like, positive message to it that can make people just want to dance or just have a little bit of joy, put into their life. And then being able to record it too. That's been another process that we've been trying to look more into and just find what that looks like. And we've done actually quite a bit where we've recorded ourselves. We're very slow with it, but we've recorded ourselves, or we'll go like to the Tonic, which is a professional recording studio here in Boise, and just being able to write music, but then also record it so people can, of course, listen to it, but then to write new music, because we do want people to hear new stuff, because we don't want people to get so tired of the same 10 or 11 songs over and over and over again.
We don't want to get tired of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more selfishly, but I really want us to do a West Coast tour. Like, I want to just go as high as we can, as low as we can, like all the way down to San Diego. I think it'd be fun to just get out and travel, not think about work, not think about life, just go between music venue to music venue.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
That's cool.
I guess we've had ideas of music videos, but nothing's been like carried out about it.
Mm-hmm.
Sean has a
Might be going forward.
sick little Miata that we would like to have in there eventually. But
Just going off what Sean said, it is true. I think our bigger goal would be, you know, our smaller goals was to get to Treeford and just get more known in the valley. And I would say that still is a thing. But I think a bigger goal would be to get, I mean, if you're like, well, like how far would you want Los Syringas to go? I think most of us, or all of us, would agree that we would like to become like West Coast famous. That would be kind of cool, you know, like to get,
I would.
or maybe just one more state
Just
over.
get out there, yeah.
Or just the top of Idaho, you know, just to become like just famous in
At
this
least like
area. That'd be
Pacific
cool.
Northwest.
Yeah.
It's time for an intervention. We need to talk about
I actually never remember. We're just gonna go to hip hop, and we'll never.
We need to know what
never
we
write
want to
music
do.
either.
So, what kind of qualities do you think a band needs to perform successfully and effectively as a whole?
I think communication's probably a big one.
Yes.
Not only that, but like integrity with what you say, whether it's like you're not able to make the commitment of what you're able to say, or like you're able to follow through, but just that constant communication with the. Honestly,
Right.
I don't think anything else matters more besides that. I don't call anyone out in the band, but it happens to all of us. Like sometimes I'll say, "Hey, I'll make it to practice," and then I can't do it. There's a I mean, like this week I told them that I'm like, "Hey, I bought tickets to a flight
I'm so upset with you about that.
for an important date, and like we have a potential show during that time, so like I have to be like, hey guys, this is something that I made a mistake on." So it's that constant like communication and just keeping your word, I guess. I think that's
Yeah.
personally that's what I think is probably the biggest one.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree. Communication's huge. I think also just being able to have that like serious kind of confronting kind of thing of, or like just like, hey, can you give me feedback on this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I think that's one really cool thing about our band is we're very much like, hey, we want to be in this band and be in this group, but we're also just really good friends.
Yeah.
And so to kind of have each other's back, but then also call each other out.
Oh yeah, we love calling each other out. I love calling everyone out, and I like when they call me out too. So.
So, you know, it's just going both ways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say too, communication and then just even prayer. You know, that always helps too. So
I feel like when I was younger, I would have said talent is like the big thing.
Mhm.
But honestly, I think chemistry is more important.
Definitely.
Like I kind of think of music as a language, and you almost have to like learn what the other person is saying and speaking, and kind of like learn how to work with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something we're always looking to improve on. But yeah, I think that's huge for the musical side of things. So
I mean, kind of for me, I think what ties in with feedback is kind of flexibility of ego.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we've all come up with really cool ideas that we think is the next big thing. And we bring it to the group and we're like, yeah, that's not going to work for the song that we're doing. But having the ability to pull back and go, I might have had this really cool idea, but you know, we're working together as a group, so you know, it's not just
Yeah.
my idea. Like, how can we
yeah,
adapt this together and maybe find ways to use that later, find it in a different way? And I think we have an amazing ability to do that. Like, I don't think we've ever really had any bad pushback. We're always working to make the best that we can do, and I think we do great at that.
Yeah, you guys pretty much nailed it. I guess the only thing I was thinking of was like just taking initiative. Like, I know I played with a lot of people before being in this band, and they just didn't want to try, I guess, and they didn't want to do anything. I think they were just there to kind of play one time and leave. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you really have your goals set and you're communicating, I think obviously you should be excited about taking initiative and doing something creative. So.
So I know you guys have just recently came out with a new single called Orange Line, which sounds fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
So what is
Thank you.
your backstory with that, if you have anything apparent with that?
So there's two ways of looking at it. I think there's a way of looking at it as how you perceive it when you listen to it, right? I think to me it's obviously because I wrote it, and I think and I also speak Spanish because I think the second half of the song, or not the end of it, is in Spanish.
So we still don't know what it means.
Yeah,
I know what it means. It's in notes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I translated it.
But it started off with a story of like struggling with like, well, yeah, yeah. I mean, just struggling with your mind, essentially, like just dealing with whatever you want to call it, anxiety, depression, just problems with like your thoughts, I guess, and like feeling stuck. that's kind of how it started. I will say that Luke had the idea of the song. He brought the concept. He was like, hey, this is a concept that I want to turn into a song. And then there were some chords kind of involved that Pearson brought up. And then I was like, let's work on it. And then Luke invited me over to the house, and it was just Luke and I that refined the chords. We refined the verse and the chorus. I think we wrote the song that night.
We did. It was pretty
and
good.
then at least lyrics and like melody wise. And then we presented it to the band. The band liked it, and then everyone just kept adding stuff on top of it. But yeah, the premise is like feeling stuck in your thoughts, whether that's depression or anxiety, feeling like you're stuck in the desert. And then the second half of the song is like finding your solution to it. I think the band kind of grew up in like a Christian household for the most part. So like some more like different than others. And I think the majority of the band would say that like things like prayer and God and like having that oneness with that is kind of like the solution. But I wanted to leave it open to interpretation because many people have a different idea of what that is. So for the average Christian, I'm sure they love it, but we also wanted it to be open to like, for anyone to like the song, right?
That's true.
Just because not everyone thinks the same way we do. And I think that's why I also wrote it in Spanish, because if you really want to like dive, I don't even know if we have the lyrics up anywhere online, but we should add them. And if people are curious, they could just look at what, I mean, and the translation is that they find like water in the desert. And that can mean what you want it to mean.
Like source of life kind of thing.
Yeah. Quenching your thirst in some way.
I think you said it well. Yeah, I mean, it was really, because I know people in my own life who have really, really struggled with depression and anxiety to pretty extreme cases, and how much it's just affected their lives and how much it's impacted them. And so just to be able to write, just another song out there of hope, of like, hey, like you can get through this, like there is a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, that you can find that life and you can find that hope. And it is true, like it is more in our eyes, like maybe more about like finding God, but we did leave it to the point where it can be interpreted more freely, so it's not like Bible thumping kind of style, so because
To end our interview with one last question, if you were to describe your band or have a mascot for your band, who would be a cartoon character, who would that be to represent your band?
Ooh.
Think of like a pineapple.
That's a tough question.
It's surfy, like tropical.
Pineapple? SpongeBob's house? SpongeBob's house? That's not Gary.
Gary.
Because of how slow we make music.
That's so true.
I love Gary. Gary's a great character.
Yeah. Maybe
We get
Gary.
We'll do it.
Yeah,
From
Gary it is.
SpongeBob? All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming in to have this interview with Pulse. I'm so glad you could make it. And tune in, stream Los Syringas, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, production team.
All right. We're good.
Oh, thank you.